Great to have Ian Castleberry playing with us on the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines and our NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by DC and the crew. Good to have you, Ian. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
We got a great segment. When you want to start first, though, Tua, the Dolphins' first-round pick last year, played a little bit, struggled in his rookie year, but we chalked it up to being a rookie. But, man, the first day of Dolphins minicamp, guys, he's picked 5 times. Ian, what are those in the know taking away from that?
Yeah, 5 interceptions. You don't want to see that from your quarterback, even in a minicamp practice. But from what I understand, there was very heavy rain during the practice, and as many football coaches would, Brian Flores kind of rubbed his hands together and be like, all right, let's see, let's play in these conditions. We play in Miami. We might have to play in the rain or, some other point during the season. So let's see how Tua responds to this. And from all accounts, reports, beat writers covering the team, Flores was really pushing Tua to throw the ball downfield and be aggressive despite the rain. And that was going to result in some interceptions. But I think the thought is that this is a teaching opportunity, a learning opportunity. Okay, what sorts of throws can't you make in those conditions? What sorts of plays aren't going to work? So even though he threw the 5 interceptions, I think Flores and the Dolphins coaching staff are looking forward to getting that footage in the film room and looking at what worked and what didn't.
Guys, and Michael, I want to get your thoughts on this. If I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm a little nervous. I mean, forget the whole 5 interceptions. I'm just nervous if Tua's the guy. And Shoop's kind of our guide here on the show. He's a former NFL quarterbacks coach. He knows the game and knows that position. And, he bluntly says Tua's not one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the world. But the Dolphins are sticking with him. I give the Dolphins credit for that, especially they were looking at maybe Deshaun Watson before his legal issues kind of took him out of the conversation. But what do you say to Dolphins fans? You pretty confident here, Mike, that Tua, they're going to, in year 2, we'll see more of a breakout from him?
No, I don't think he's the real deal. I think, he's another Alabama quarterback that I think it's a little bit of the criticism of Mac Jones. He never faced a ton of adversity, and he had that hip injury. It's, looks like he's coming back from it. And just because he threw, they had some success, and people just jumped to like, oh, Tua's the guy, Tua's the guy, Tua's the guy. And you start looking at it a little bit closer and like, oh, gee, it's too bad Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't healthy, when he got COVID for that last game of the season against Buffalo. So I just don't see it. I'm not an expert or anything like that, but obviously it's hard to go by what happens in these type of workouts and stuff like that. But 5 interceptions is 5 interceptions, and I just don't think Tua is the guy. But I think the Dolphins are really good.
Yeah, that's.
But
yeah.
And I think 20 years ago, Tua probably would have been okay. Tua, don't make any mistakes, hand the ball off, complete a pass every now and then, but now you've got to throw that ball down the field, and you've got to be dynamic. And I think the Dolphins have tried to add some weapons for Tua. But if he can't use them, it'll be interesting to see what the Dolphins do next.
Yeah, and Ian, is it possible, do you think, I'll just throw this out there, that if Deshaun Watson gets all of his issues cleared up and he's, available, his cost may come down, we should point out, in terms of what it would take to get him. But you think the Dolphins could make a run if that opening happens?
I think it depends when that happens. If it's over the summer, if it's before training camp, yes, I don't think this is a move that the Dolphins could make or would be interested in making once training camp is started, once the season is started. Because, football, you don't see especially with quarterbacks, you don't necessarily see the mid-season trades that you do in the NBA or Major League Baseball. There's just too much to learn as far as systems and different offenses, terminology, and so forth. But, we're in June here. If in, let's say, the next 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, Watson gets his legal issues cleared up and he's available, yeah, I think the Dolphins could pursue something like that.
Man, see where it goes on this. And you're right. I think you nailed it. If it's in the summertime, if it's before the season, better chance of that happening. And I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think Deshaun's issues are going to be figured out by then. Hey, let's talk Le'Veon Bell. Wow. He was very honest last week. He said he'd rather retire than play for Andy Reid. Well, looking at Bell's numbers over the past 3 seasons, retirement might not be a bad option. But Ian, Le'Veon Bell is a lot older. He's not near the player he was. He's talking like he is. He just badmouthed probably one of the most popular, more respected coaches in the NFL. Do you see him catching on with another team after that?
I think there's some coaches that are going to steer clear of Le'Veon Bell just for the reason you pointed out. You know, if he doesn't like playing for Andy Reid, he's not going to like playing here. Or, you know, if he couldn't work it out with Andy Reid, how's he going to work it out here? There are some teams that could use a running back. I mean, we just mentioned the Dolphins. You know, Le'Veon Bell could be a fit there, but do they want him anywhere near Tua Tagovailoa? Bell was productive with the Chiefs when he got the ball, and I think that's the big issue. We don't know exactly what the issue Le'Veon Bell has with Andy Reid. He made mentions of something that Reid said, but I would think that Bell was more upset with how he was used once he joined the Chiefs, especially once Clyde Edwards-Helaire got hurt. Bell didn't get the same amount of touches that I think he was expecting. But he was still productive, 4 yards a carry, 254 yards on 63 carries. He could still catch the ball. He had 99 yards on 13 receptions. I think a team that, again, we mentioned the Dolphins. I think he could be a fit with the Broncos. Everyone seems to be joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe he would go there. I've seen some Lions people saying, you know, the Lions have been kind of playing footsie with Todd Gurley and as a reserve running back, and so Le'Veon Bell might fit the same category. But I also wonder, and I'm very curious what Mike thinks about this, could he be a fit for the Buffalo Bills?
That's possibly the Bills. You know, they're kind of going back running back by committee right now, but I'm looking in the. And Brandon Beane's one that plays it pretty close to the vest, but there certainly hasn't been any talk about it in Buffalo. But yeah, I think it's. But I think it could be. But then again, the Bills are very much about culture, and you know, him putting down. And don't forget, Sean McDermott got his start in the NFL under Andy Reid.
Good point. Yeah,
and there's a lot of loyalty between Sean McDermott and Andy Reid. So it's just I would think that. That just would not happen. In this day and age, anything's possible, though. I mean, Antonio Brown's only had 722 chances. and it finally worked out for him in Tampa for now.
Oh, my goodness. Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys. Great to catch up with our NFL go-to guy today, as always. And Ian, by the way, Ian's appearance presented by DC Creasman Jewelers. Hey, Ian, what is Panthers wide receiver Robbie Anderson saying about his former Jets and current Panthers teammate, quarterback Sam Darnold?
He's raving about Sam Darnold. Said he sees a new energy out of his former teammate. Anderson and Darnold were teammates for 2 seasons with the Jets. Says he sees a new energy and a glowing charisma from Sam Darnold. It sounds like Robbie Anderson isn't able to look directly at Sam Darnold, that maybe he needs to wear sunglasses or a visor when he looks there because the charisma is so glowing. But I think... it wouldn't be a surprise to see that Darnold would respond to a different culture, a different coaching staff, and most importantly, a different offense under Joe Brady. Anderson had a career-best season last year, 90 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and I think he thinks that Darnold would thrive in Joe Brady's offense, which is less complicated than Adam Gaze's system was with the Jets. But I think, you know, of course, at this point of the year, you know, everybody is talking big in minicamp. Everybody looks great, right?
It's like spring training
I
in
think
baseball.
it's encouraging for Robbie Anderson to say that about his quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think you'd throw it out there if you didn't really truly believe it, Mike Gore. But I think, too, when you look at it, as Ian pointed out, you go from Adam Gase and just that whole aura in with the Jets to Charlotte and Matt Rule. He's a player's coach. It seems like Sam Darnold is certainly more relaxed, and as Ian pointed out, the offense is going to be easier to pick up for him.
Should be, and this guy was one of the top quarterbacks drafted for a reason. And he played at Southern Cal, and he's got the skills, so there's no reason he can't succeed there. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery. So let's see if it works out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And good luck to Sam Darnold. We're all counting on you, dude, because we want to get back at it in that division. Ian Castleberry on the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines. All right, Ian, the NFL is easing its COVID restrictions, so it says. So what changes are they talking about here?
Unvaccinated players they're going to be allowed to participate in practices and games during training camp and the preseason. Presumably, this will extend into the regular season as well. But if there are a significant number of unvaccinated players, you're going to have a situation where you almost have two teams. Unvaccinated players, they're going to have to get tested daily, wear masks, physical distancing, of course, quarantine if they're exposed to anybody who's had COVID, kind of like what we're seeing right now with Chris Paul in the NBA. But unvaccinated players, they'll have to be isolated in the team hotel. They're going to have to go in a separate plane when the team travels. They can't eat with their teammates. They can't meet with more than 3 people at the team facility, which is a measure that we saw last season. A 5-day delay between reporting to training camp and being allowed to participate in full team activities. So if major players, impact players, big contributors choose not to be vaccinated, and the NFL is giving them that choice, again, you're going to have 2 separate teams, and it could be a setback in terms of repetitions and offense and defense working together. And then, you could have a disruption of somebody not being available. Again, the Chris Paul situation with the Phoenix Suns, we don't know when he will play in the Western Conference Finals. We don't know if he's been vaccinated. So is that a situation that's going to open the eyes of some NFL players and say, well, geez, maybe I should get vaccinated?
Man, I'll tell you, Mike, it makes no sense to me if there's an NFL player out there that's like, you know what, I'm not getting vaccinated. Now, as the NFL, as Ian said, the NFL says, fine, but there's going to be penalties for this. I mean, they're basically going to be treated like a freak show, as maybe they should be, honestly. But I don't understand it with the physical contact Sundays, and, of course, not to mention practice, being in close quarters in quarterback room or the position rooms. It makes no sense to me. If you're vaccinated, there's nothing to worry about. I know it goes deeper than what's good for your body, but this makes no sense. I'm glad the NFL said, okay, fine, do it, but this is what you're going to face, and I hope the Players Association stays out of this.
I hope they do, too. I don't think they will, but I hope so, too. It just we need to get as many people vaccinated as ever. Just to get on a soapbox here, we just need to everyone needs to get the shot or 2 shots, whatever. It's just very simple right now. You look across the country, and areas that have a lot of vaccinations, COVID's going way down. Areas that are struggling with this, I think I read or heard something out in western Colorado, Grand Junction, only like 40% of the population there has gotten the shot, and there's a very strong anti-resistance getting the shot out there, and their hospitals are full of COVID patients. It's very simple. It's just very simple. Get the shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we circle back to the Panthers real quick? Because Sam Darnold was talking last week about how he's still mulling over whether or not to get vaccinated. How does that affect the Panthers if the starting quarterback has to be held back with all these protocols because he didn't want to get vaccinated?
Yeah, to me, at this point, you're going to be selfish. You're not about your team. You're about yourself. It's just a freaking needle. It's going to do you good. It's not some conspiracy going on or anything like that. It's just a freaking shot. It's going to make you better. It's going to make you resistant to when you're around other people. Sam Darnold, Jesus, if you can't make that decision, now I'm starting to question what kind of decisions you'll make on the field. Good Lord. Oh, man, figure out.
When he announced that, I said on Twitter, I said, decision-making still clearly a problem for Sam Darnold.
Great way to put it, Ian. Speaking of quarterbacks, I hope Jordan Love's vaccinated, but who knows? But I want to have some fun here with A-Rod, still being passive-aggressive Aaron, one of the best at it. If Jordan Love ends up as quarterback of the Packers, how do you like your Lions' chances for 2 wins in 2021?
Still not good. The Lions are going to be very bad in 2021. They play the Packers in week 2 on Monday Night Football at Lambeau Field. That is a loss. Try that up right now. They play the Packers the final game of the season. Now, depending on what the playoff standings are, maybe the Packers are going to rest their players. Maybe the Lions will be a little extra motivated to play at home. But I will be optimistic and say the Lions will go 1-1 against the Packers if Jordan Love is their quarterback. But I would probably say the same if Aaron Rodgers was their quarterback.
Yeah, you're a Lions fan. You guys are just conditioned that way. Hey, Ian, before we let you go, Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys for our NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by DC Creasman Jewelers. All right, you have a story, your latest story in Awful Announcing. You go to awfulannouncing.com. Tell us about how Jimmy Kimmel just got his name on a college football bowl game.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know if whether it was Jimmy Kimmel himself or his people or the show Jimmy Kimmel Live and ABC. purchased the naming rights for the new LA Bowl, which is going to be played December 18th at SoFi Stadium, where the Rams and Chargers play. So it's going to be the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. And fans, at least the people who are responding to this story on Awful and Out, think, hate this. It makes a joke out of everything. Of course, some of their opinions have to do with Jimmy Kimmel himself and his political leanings, or whether you think it's funny or not. But yes, this probably says there were too many college football bowl games. But we know that. We know there are too many college football bowl games. But on late December, where there's nothing else on TV, we all watch college football. We all watch bowl games that we probably wouldn't watch otherwise. And I love the idea that the LA Bowl is having some fun with this, with naming rights and a sponsorship. I think more bowls should do this. Barstool Sports almost bought the naming rights to, I believe it was the Shreveport Bowl, but ESPN put a stop to that. They didn't want Barstool's name all over an ESPN broadcast.
Yeah, they don't have the best history together.
I think it should happen more often.
I think it would be cool. I mean, and I honestly don't watch a lot of those early bowl games. They're just boring to me. But I understand the excitement for the schools. This one I would probably watch, Mike Gore, just for the name recognition.
Yeah, and just to see what Jimmy Fallon's role will be.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel. Sorry about that.
Jimmy Fallon, there's no way I would watch that bowl game.
I'd watch it. Heck yeah. Well, the Jimmy Kimmel
bowl.
I think that's fabulous. Good for him and good for pointing out that there's just too many bowls. People go, he's making a mockery of it. That's his point, because the bowl season has become kind of a sad story of itself.
Yeah, but once again, the dollar speaks, and a chance for these teams to go to have bowl experiences, and if someone's willing to put up the money, I mean,
sure.
that bowl game in LA, that's what the Super Bowl's going to be. So those kids are going to play in a stadium. Now, I don't think it's going to be packed as far as that goes, but they're going to play in a stadium 2 months before the Super Bowl. So
they'll probably be on Jimmy Kimmel's show that week leading up to the game. By the way, the bowl game is going to be the top team from the Mountain West Conference versus the number 5 selection from the Pac-12.
Okay.
So that's what I don't know. Like Pat was saying, early season bowl games maybe not as appealing, and maybe this would fall in that category.
Oh, man. Well, look, people, someone has said to me, like, then don't watch those games. I'm like, dude, I don't watch those games, man. That's what I'm telling you. I get excited right around just close to New Year's Eve. Then we start getting into the bigger bowl games. But, that's just me. Everyone's different. Ian Castleberry writes for Awful Announcing, also thecomeback.com, and as well as doing a number of radio hits around the country, including his home station right here, Y Sports Radio. Ian, appreciate you as always, my friend. Have a great rest of the week.
Okay, you guys have a great rest of the week as well. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys.